Hey everybody, Tim and Jordan here for Golden Girls review. After almost a year, I got him to watch some more of it. Which I don't know. You've seen it all. We've seen
I've
every
seen
episode.
multiple times in my life.
We've seen Golden Girls. We've seen Golden Palace. We've seen Empty Nest. We've seen it all. But we finally did another one. Typically, I think we do like 3 episodes for a review. Since it's been like a year, I said, fuck it, let's just go big. And we're doing all 5 of the last episodes for season 1. And now we're done with season 1. So we're doing like a season a year, just like Golden Girls.
Just like Golden
Girls. Awesome. So, I don't know. We don't really do reviews of Golden Girls, though. We basically just talk about each episode and then like how it reflects to us.
But I mean,
it's more like a conversation about us and Golden Girls. Then like this was a good episode. Like,
well, I mean, I feel like during through we also say it's a good episode. We're like, yeah, this was a good episode because it relates to us. Or we're like, yeah, this was an okay episode. Or,
but have we ever said it was a bad episode?
It's Golden Girls. I don't think that's an option. But
that's my point. So episode 21, the flu attack. What stood out? What didn't stand out?
I mean, I don't know. It was just another, they get sick, and I just love that they have all of their, the old-time home remedies that they try going through, where when it boils down to it, they end up getting a doctor, and she's just like, you literally just need to sit here and rest. Mm-hmm. And they're like, no, let's go do this, and like St. Olaf stuff, and...
Which my favorite is obviously going to be the hot toddy, since I like to drink.
Right, and that's, and I will say that I think that's what,
that's
Rose, her hot toddy, and they're like, how many have you had of these? And she's like, oh, just 3, and she's all hiccuping.
Well, and then like Dorothy takes a drink and she's like, it needs an octane rating.
Yeah.
So I like that. It was a little over the top, but when we first see them, like they're all holding their tissues and they're in the shape of the 3 monkeys, like hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil.
Oh, yeah.
So we see that. The subplot is the best friend award. That, I don't know, the whole thing just kept going forever. Like, I was more interested to see them getting sick and yelling at each other. Like Blanche being like, give me back my blanket. And she's like, I don't have it. Well, then what other electronic device do you have under there? And I was like, that's slightly dirty.
Right. And she even says it that way, too. She's like, fine, have your electric blanket back.
Which I don't know, this one stands out for me just because like I don't get sick very often, but when I do, I am dying.
And that's
like it's like once every few years.
Like when he gets sick, I have to call out of work because I have to take care of you. So yeah.
And I mean, a lot of people are probably like, "Oh yeah, it's not that bad." Like no,
it's bad.
Like I never get sick unless I'm absolutely
like my job is aware that when I'm like, "Hey, Tim just called out of work," they're like, "Oh, so you're not coming into work for the next week?" Yeah. They already know.
I kind of related to this type. I loved how Don Johnson was supposed to be there, but couldn't make it, so they sent his clothes. Because this is now the second time they brought up Don Johnson in Miami Vice. Because when they went to the cop's house, and like he had the pet goat, and Rose is like,
that's right.
or the stuffed goat, and she's like, I like it. And then of course Sophia ends up being the winner of the best friend. I didn't see it coming. I thought it was going to be somebody completely random.
Well, I think that's what because even Sophia, even like when because later in the episode, or I guess previously in the episode, she says that, I forgot what the girl's name is, but they're like, yeah, she called and she sounded kind of upset that we weren't coming because she said, like, it kind of sounded like one of us was going to win. But the way Sophia puts it, it sounds like it's one of them 3, and it's not her, so...
So for the next episode, Job Hunting, this one... It has some of the scenes from earlier episodes, or it has some of the scenes from the opening scene.
Oh, right.
Like when Rose turns to smile and stuff like that. So, pretty sure this was filmed way earlier and put to the back of the season. But, I don't know, the whole thing didn't really do much for me. This one out of the 5 was probably the lowest, because it's just Rose being out of a job.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, it's about Rose being out of a job, but at the same time, it's about the struggles that she goes through, because she's worked for this, it's like some type of center for people who have, I forgot what kind of problems.
Needs.
Yeah, like, I forgot, but, like, it's like a counseling center place, kind of. and that's where she works. And unfortunately, the business or the company goes under, so she's no longer, employed. And it's basically just about her going through and trying to find a job. And that's the problem, is that later in the end, they're like, "We're gonna get you a job. It's fine." But she's like, "No, you don't understand. I've had multiple or multiple interviews." She's like, "The problem is she's like, I'm just too old." And she's like, "I don't feel old, but everyone sees me as old."
Which I think they actually say in this episode, she's only 55. Or she's supposed to be 55. Like, and I think it's some sort of Facebook meme where it's like Betty White did a TV show about being old before most of you were even born.
Right.
So.
Yeah, because they even mentioned in there, because Dorothy is like, "Well, what did you do when your husband, passed away?" And she's like, "I called the police." It's like, no. What did you do after all of that? And she was like, "What do you have to do to get your life together?" And she's like, "But you don't understand. I'm 5 years older, blah, blah, blah." And I would say at 55 years old, if I was like... At 55, you and I married, had kids, everything. If one of us were to pass, I mean, yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like 5 years later, and then I lose my job, and it's like, oh no, what do I do? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, I would kind of feel like Rose at the point. I mean, I kind of...
Just give up.
I don't think I would give up. I have too much life to give up, but...
Well, but then, like, the funny thing is with her, like, resume...
Yeah, that's...
hobbies, butter churning.
Cheese
making. It's true.
Viking history.
Yeah. So, stuff like that. So I was like, and for me, like, after being in retail for 15 years and at the start of the pandemic, when I was out of a job, I was like, how do you make a resume? Like, I haven't had to make a resume in years. Like, and it was very similar. It was like, I don't know what to put. Like,
and it's weird
YouTube channel.
And well, it's weird because like when this episode came out, it was the whole like, even when I was getting a job, it was like that generation gap was like, oh, you need to walk into a place and ask for a job, and it was like, no, you don't understand. They don't do that nowadays.
That's not a thing. Yeah.
And it's like literally, it's like you have to go online and apply and pray to God that your application stands out more than the rest of them somehow on a fucking computer.
But it's amazing that how many older people still say that, where they're like, go in and put in the application, and then you show up and they're like, oh, we don't actually carry applications here. It's all online.
Yeah, and so I mean, like, then, it's one of those, like, once you put in the application, call the store, and then it's like, okay, fine, then you do all that.
That's the key most people fail on.
Then that's the sad generation gap. But and that's the part of it is I don't know. I hate job hunting, and coming from someone who has had multiple jobs, I thought it was really funny because my biggest complaint whenever I was going, because 3 months into a job, let's be honest, I get bored and I want a new one. So I put in a lot of job applications. I would say that's probably my biggest complaint. And that was funny. When you were putting in your job applications, you're like, this is awful. And I'm like, oh yeah, wait till you get to that questionnaire that takes you an hour and a half. And you're like, what? And I'm like, oh yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of, and also now...
But at the same time, like I said, I've had jobs for years, 7 years, 8 years, and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're pretty steady with your jobs. I get bored so quickly.
Once I get my foot in, I'm done. Like, you gotta force me out, which is how they got me out.
Yeah, they literally eliminated your position.
Episode 23, Blind Ambition. We meet Rose's sister, who has been blind for the last 5 months. If you had to lose either your seeing or your hearing, which would you rather lose?
I would rather lose... Honestly, I would rather lose my sight.
Really?
I love music so much that, honestly, and it's one of those... I would say music is my biggest thing. I mean, like, obviously, I would miss seeing sunsets or, like, my animals or, like, my friends or family and stuff like that. Like, remembering what clothes I'm wearing and, stuff like that. And, like, just, like, my favorite colors and everything. Like, I would definitely miss all of that. But I feel like I would... I don't want to say cope with, but I feel like I would be able to handle losing my sight more than, like, losing my hearing or something like that.
That's interesting. See, I'd rather lose my hearing. Because I watch a lot of TV, I read a lot of books, which granted there are like radio shows and audiobooks, but like I read like a lot of graphic novels.
Right.
Graphic novels for the blind sadly don't exist. I mean, they're kind of out there, but it's not nearly as popular. And then, I mean, just looking around the man cave, like I'm a very visual person and I'd rather see everything around me. But
so we make the perfect couple.
I know. There's a movie about that.
You can see and I can hear for you.
Yep, there you go. Probably my favorite scene in this that like stood out to at least us, or what I think of us, is the yard sale where they're trying to get rid of everything. And they're like, "That's not for sale."
I love like so I collect salt and pepper shakers.
And I like how it was the king salt and pepper shakers.
Yes, and that was the part I loved when he was like, "I'll give you 75 cents. These are memorabilia. These are the king. They are worth like a lot of money." Blah blah blah.
He is no longer with us.
Yeah, $1. And so,
get off my property.
Yeah, exactly. And then, or the hockey stick by I forgot who freaking or no,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it was Dorothy that wanted to keep it.
And then she sells it to the guy for $5, and then later on you see her in the living room like haggling him for it for like $15. So I'm just
so they lost money at this yard sale.
Yeah,
because she gave him money back. But yeah, so I loved that because I feel like if you tried to sell any of my stuff, that's how it would be. It'd be like, no, it's $1 million.
I'd be like, this book, $5. That was $75 on Amazon. $5.50?
Yeah. So we get that one, and then I don't know, Rose's the whole plot line for Rose's sister. Like, I don't know, if Scott went blind, so you'd be like, oh, it's all clear. Boom, right into the wall. Like that answered all of my questions right there.
Oh my god, okay, like, yeah, because my brother fucking deserves it. Okay, like, if
Karina?
I would say Karina's probably a more valid, probably, yeah. So if one of my best friends, if she were to go blind, how would I would definitely...
Actually, Karina's a good one, because Karina's very independent.
She wants to do everything herself. She needs to, yeah. So I feel like for her, that would be a good example, and that's also someone I probably more care about.
So, like, that same thing, though. So Karina would be like, don't help me! And is just trying to walk, and, like, in this episode, you see them moving boxes and stuff, because she's about to trip. Like, would you do the same, or would you just be like, she falls, she falls?
No, I would...
Where would you be?
Like, I would be more of the, she would have to definitely learn herself because I'm not going to always be there for her. But I would be, like, if I was in the room and if I saw her walking, I would try to more focus on, like, hey, like, I understand it's been, 5 months or something, but, you're still getting used to shit and, you need to walk slow.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I would more make sure. And then also if she's going to walk, I would obviously to be like, yo, bitch, you're going to walk into a box. And
so you wouldn't just, like, move it and not tell her?
No, because I know that knowing her, because when you lose a sense, other senses enhance. And so I feel like if you lost your sight, your hearing would improve. And so I feel like if I were to move that box, she would hear it and she would be like, what the fuck is that?
So I agree and disagree. I'm only disagreeing because, one, it has only been 5 months. So you haven't really gotten that good. And 2, they are in their 50s. So I think your hearing's just kind of done as well.
Well, yeah, but at the same, like I said, 5 months, you and I haven't really learned that life, so we don't know. But from what I have read or understood, it seems like, other senses take over when one of them fails.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I would definitely, and that's where it comes, like, if I were to lose my sight, that's why I said I love music so much and everything, that's one of those, if I was moving around, all of a sudden I heard something slide, I'd be like, oh shit, what the fuck just moved? Because now I don't know what's in my path.
Especially in, like, a house with so many animals.
And well, not only the house with the animals, not so much or whatever, just because I feel like, Lady Bird, I feel like she would probably
just knock you the fuck over.
Yeah, she'd be like, hi, Dad. And then I wouldn't know what the fuck's coming at me. 90 pounds blown over on the floor. But the other thing that really makes sense so much is that, she's also in someone else's house and she's trying to be so independent. Like, at one point in time, she almost catches the freaking kitchen on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And even Blanche is like, well, maybe you shouldn't be cooking on a stove that you don't know about, like, which is true, but at the same time, like, you gotta live a little.
I can see, and I've almost caught our stove on fire.
I cook almost every day, and
never.
Garlic bread's a different story, but
so moving on, episode 24, Big Daddy. We've heard about him so much.
I've never heard anyone call their dad actual Big Daddy.
Actually, is this the first time we've heard the term Big Daddy?
I feel like we've heard, because Blanche has talked about her family before or whatever, so I want to say she's actually mentioned Big Daddy before. But that's when Blanche is first talking about him. That's when Dorothy is like, "Oh, I never actually met someone who's called their daddy actually Big Daddy."
Mm-hmm.
And then Blanche is like, "Well, he was truly a dad to all of us." And then Rose is like, "Well, your mom must have been a very forgiving woman."
Because then at some point, don't we meet Big Mama?
No, because actually in this episode, it basically insinuates that she passed away.
So I think it's his next wave or something. I don't know. I swear I remember hearing Big
because
Mama.
I think if we do, I want to say if we did meet Big Mama, I want to say it was like the first or second episode. So maybe we did, and it's been over a year, so I forgot. But yeah, it definitely insinuates because this one, we're going a little out of order because so basically, Blanche's dad, they have their house, they have their cars, they have all the, she comes from a very wealthy family, and Big Daddy breaks the news to her that he has gotten rid of everything because he decides that he wants to go on a singing career.
Which, another quick side journey, do we ever learn what Big Daddy's actual name is? At least not in this one, but do we?
I was gonna say I can spoil it because I do know for a fact that Big Daddy dies in the future.
Oh yeah,
and so there is a funeral episode.
So they probably say it then.
Because I remember we meet a couple more people that I actually really like in that specific episode, so that's why I remember it so well. But I can't remember if they actually say his official name, but I want to say there's a specific character that shows up in that episode and she does mention his real name.
Gotcha. Okay, so we'll get there eventually.
Yeah,
it'll be a couple years, but.
A couple years.
Honestly, the whole singing career story didn't really do anything. I liked the neighbor story with the tree.
Yes.
I loved that story. Because I feel like as we own our house, if something like that happened, I feel like that would have been you. Where you're like, curse!
What'd you just do? Give you
the Hillsborough curse.
Yeah, the Hillsborough curse.
But I don't know. I love that whole one where the tree crashes. He doesn't want to take care of it. Sophia puts a curse on him, and then all this bad stuff starts happening. And then the big twist is it was his wife the whole time.
Yeah,
because he was being a douche.
Yeah, she was letting the air out of his tires, and she was secretly burning his toast. Which I don't know how you secretly burn someone's toast. But...
You turn the dial up, and then as soon as it pops, turn it back down. Didn't he lose a golf club or something?
Yeah, he lost his golf clubs, but she said she hit him in the attic or some shit, and so everything he complains about.
Oh, and one of them was just luck, though. I don't remember what it was.
Oh, the pimple on his back.
Oh, yeah, the boil on his butt.
Yeah, she's like, that was just pure luck.
Yeah, that was luck. So, okay. But I love that one. I don't know. Neither one of us are really that stingy, though. If something happened and legitimately we were at blame... neither one of us
if our tree fell on someone else's, then yeah, that's why I want to get rid of the tree in our backyard, because I freaking hate it. But if someone else's tree, landed on our yard, I would hope that they would take responsibility for it, but at the same time, the way this world works nowadays, I don't really have much hope for decent human mankind, so...
Yeah. Well, my point was more of, if you were doing something bad, I wouldn't punish you to get you to do it. We don't really have that type of relationship.
Oh, no, I think if anything, worst case scenario, if you and I, if I disagreed with, if you were like, oh, well, I'm not going to take care of it, blah, 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 you damn well, I'd try to go and reason with the neighbors.
You just take the debit card and
I
pay
would.
for it anyway.
I'd just be like, oh, here's his credit card, it's fine. He won't notice the charge, and then it pops up on your phone.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, there was a long video, but hey, it's been a year. The last episode for season 1, episode 25, The Way We Met. So they watch Psycho and they're all scared of it, and so it's just a flashback episode.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I get it. This was in the 80s. They're 55-year-old women. Psycho is in no way scary. So
you never know, because there's been a lot of older horror films that they were like, ooh, this was scary, and then I watch it and I'm just like, that's a lot of corn syrup. But that's cool.
The blood in Psycho is not corn syrup.
Okay, well, I wasn't specifically talking about that.
It is Hershey's syrup. That's why it's fun to ask people, if you imagine the blood going down the drain, they're like, it's red. It's a black and white movie, and it's actually Hershey syrup.
There was no color. Ha!
Yeah. I don't know. Overall, the flashbacks are pretty fun. I did enjoy, seeing how they all learn or get to know each other.
Yeah.
probably one of the dumbest lines in my favorites where Rose is like, I'll take us all out for dinner at my favorite restaurant. They're like, okay. And she's like, let's go to Dairy Queen.
We gotta get there before 3.
Because Blizzards are half off. Which, if I thought about it, like, we live right next to a Dairy Queen. I would have, like, had it ready. Like,
oh,
but
ice cream sounds so good.
Mm-hmm.
Especially soft serve.
I don't remember this plot point being in here. And now, watching this years later, I love it, where the 3 of them go to the store and decide to split everything in 3s. Everything. And so as they're walking through, Blanche puts something in there, and Dorothy's like, no!
It's like
anchovies or something.
No, well, it's anchovies, and they're $6 a can.
Or is it your smoked oysters?
No, it was the anchovies. It was some type of canned seafood.
But that's why I was like, I think it might be oysters because it's the aphrodisiac.
I just remember, they were. Oh, it is because she was like after like you ever had a night with a man and they're just not ready, a can of these and he'll be up all night.
Yeah.
Which is actually a myth, but and so okay, so it was the oysters then.
But anyways, like Dorothy's like, I'm not paying for those. Which at one point we did have a roommate, and you thought that would be a good idea.
Well, no, so we had. Oh, I don't know if I should admit it. We had government assistance, and we decided that we were going to put all of our money together and go out grocery shopping. And
I said from the beginning, this is a mistake. Don't fucking do this.
Well, I was young and dumb, and we go out. We did grocery shopping and everything, but the problem that we ran into was not so much because we agreed on all the same food, so that was not a problem. But as what it came down to was that she decided to have all of her friends over. She decided to make meals when we weren't home and stuff like that. And so, I mean, like, I understand, like, we all bought, like, food for ourselves. Like, hey, this is my own personal food, which was totally reasonable. But, like, we had bought meat and lunch meat, like, just a bunch of stuff, like, for the house. Like, we were to make it as a meal. And she took it upon herself to make all of these meals when we weren't home or it was inconvenient for us. And then she chose to eat it all. So when we were actually hungry, there was actually no food in the house for us. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, we just spent, and then is what she used against me was, well, I put my money, so it was partially my food too, so I couldn't make her feel guilty. But
I fucking did.
But at the same time, I was like, well, wait a minute, like, hey.
Homeboy, don't play that game.
Yeah, like, I'm hungry and I put my part of my portion of money into it. Now I'm eating nothing as you ate all my food, so now that's my fight. And so we decided, hey, we have to split it.
And very much like this episode, it lasted like one time.
And last one was what I got pissed off about is we actually ended up losing our government assistance because we got the letter that said we were making too much money, so we improved. So I mean, okay, great. But we ended up going in, so we had taken all of our food stamps and everything, and she had used them all, or I guess we had used them all for that trip. And then we got that letter that said we lost them because we were improving in our life. And then we were without food, and she was like, oh, well, now you want to keep it separate. And so we had no food for almost a month, so we were living off of, like, I want to say less than top ramen a day. Like, It was really bad. And so I kind of felt like she screwed us over, but you know what? The past is the past. Our life has occurred, so I don't care. I'm not bitter at all.
Nope. Shouldn't have brought that one up. But I don't know. That's why I think when I hear people talk about like struggles and everything, because like I've had people throw it in my face that they're like, oh, you have like 2 new cars, you own your house, like you don't know what struggles is. We literally used to live in a Walmart parking lot. Like we were absolute homeless.
Every single morning we had to go into the family bathroom and lock the door, brush our teeth, do a rub down with a baby cloth. That was our shower, use the bathroom, and then boom, we were off to work. That was a not so fun 6-month experience.
Yes. Like we literally were completely homeless with nothing to our names.
At the time, it was both of us and my cat and a Jeep Cherokee. And
we graduated from being homeless to
a garage,
living in somebody's garage, and then we got a shitty apartment, a college room dorm apartment, and then we got an actual apartment, and now we're at a house. So like that's not like let's tell everybody about our life, but like I think it's interesting when people like kind of throw that. They're like, oh, you're fucking privileged, you don't know what it's like to work. Like we've literally started from the bottom and worked our way up. So, and that's what I loved about working at retail, because so many homeless people are like, you don't know. No, I do know. you're not trying.
I would say the only upper hand that we really had is, like, I mean, we did have a car to live in.
Mm.
So, I mean, we weren't, like, homeless, I would say. So, I mean, we don't, like, maybe we don't know what his life is like because he's probably living underneath, you know, a bridge in a bush somewhere. And he's praying for a leaf is big enough to cover him with the rain. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we did have an upper hand with the car, but at the same time, I mean, we were
still
home.
have.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's like a museum.
But at the same time, I mean, you know, our life wasn't the greatest, but we did things to improve it. So, and look at where we are now. So,
but that's what I like about this episode is, hey, flashback. That's what we just did.
Yeah, exactly.
And experiencing roommates, and I don't know, like at this point, if I were to die, would you look for a roommate? Like not somebody you know, so not Karina, not Jackie. Nobody you know, because Blanche does not know Rose or Dorothy. She puts up an ad.
Yeah, she puts up an ad in the supermarket.
Which I don't think you can do that anymore. I don't
know. New Seasons and a couple other like stores. I know they usually have like a community bulletin board.
Oh, okay.
And usually you can post stuff up in there.
Gotcha. But if I were to die, would you like put up a Craigslist ad or something like? Especially if we were still in this house, or if you were still in this house, would you be like, "Hey, extra bedroom, garage, like, you can come move in"?
Honestly, the sad thing is if because I've already kind of thought about like what if in the future, just
if I suddenly go missing.
Hey,
proof he already had a plan.
Hey, you always got to be prepared. I've always because I envisioned if anything ever did happen to us, either A, this house would already be paid off. So I wouldn't have to worry about getting a roommate because taxes a year is going to be nothing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if let's say the house was not paid off, I feel like is what I would have to do is I would have to unfortunately refinance the house and restart the mortgage over again.
Mm.
And I would just keep whatever money we have already paid off on the house. I would just, you know, basically redo the mortgage for that time over so it would drop the payment and then I would just be able to keep the house myself. Because realistically, honestly, if you passed away in whatever home that we were living at the time, I don't think I would want to share it with anyone else.
Gotcha.
So I wouldn't really want anyone else in there.
Which leads me to a quick question. Like, Stan is still alive. Did it ever talk about what Blanche or Rose's husband did for a living? Before they died?
I feel like they did. I know because Blanche always talks about her husband coming from money, so I know like he was always.
Well, I think they both did.
Well, yeah, and so, but I can't remember exactly what he did, and I want to say, Rose's husband was. I think he was like a traveling salesman.
Oh, that sounds about right. Okay, that's all I got for this one. Any closing thoughts for the season as a whole for these last 5 episodes?
Season was I mean it was Golden Girls, it was great. These episodes, they were very interesting. I liked for the most part I liked all the storylines that they had. They were very I feel like the storylines for episode or TV shows back then don't really match storylines that are
no
like they have that different feel to them.
They're episodic is what it's called.
Okay, sure. I'm gonna pretend like I know what that is. So I definitely like the older feel of the TV shows and stuff, so
that works. Basically episodic just means like you could watch it in whatever order and it doesn't really matter.
And that's
whereas like TV now is story arcs.
And
where you have to watch them in that order.
And that would go figure because I'm one of those I might not watch an episode every single week, so I might miss a week or 2 or 5.
And I mean, as Golden Girls or something does slowly go on, you do kind of get that little minor episodic
we get the 2-parter
story
episodes and stuff like that. But other than
that, like for example, like you said, Big Daddy ends up dying. Mm-hmm. So if you watch that episode and then like you just turn on the TV and then suddenly Big Daddy's alive, like some things you're like, okay, so clearly there is an order to it, but it's not like a concrete, like you're not just going to be completely lost.
Yeah, I would say it's not more of like I feel like if you saw an episode where Big Daddy's funeral happened and then like all of a sudden you see episode, you're just like, okay, this is an older episode because that's just the thing is I would say like.
but it's not like this 26 episode plot of him slowly dying and getting sick and stuff like that.
Yeah,
he's alive and now he's dead.
You can watch that one episode, and I think it starts out with he had a heart attack. Okay, good. We know why he died. Got it.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I pretty much said what I needed to say.
Okay. So let us know what you guys think. It's Golden Girls. It's just fun to watch. Like I said, it's more of just us kind of talking and relating to it. I will try to get him to watch season 2 with me. So we'll try it. Hopefully it's not another year. Otherwise, thank you guys for subscribing. Let me know what you guys think, and we will see you guys next time for season 2.